Okay, so we're here to discuss some initiatives that we thought about as a campus. I spoke to our building principal and found something that we thought would benefit, that our campus would benefit from, is something called like a check-in, check-out. You know, we've seen, so like as a district, like what we've seen on campus regarding student behavior and academic success, like they go hand in hand. We have seen a little bit of student regression in academics due to their corresponding behaviors. So our district has like branched off to do their own MTSS B for the behavior part in order to better support their students. So this program would consist of students checking in daily with an adult at the start of the school day, and like they will get like a goal sheet to say, okay, well, I'm working for X, Y, or Z. They would also get like feedback from the teacher on how they were doing, and then at the end of the day, they could turn it in. And that's like a point sheet. And if they get so many points at the end of the week, they can do different activities like of their choosing. So we do have a lot of our students here on campus that are struggling with behaviors and academics that would benefit from having a mentor or a staff member to confide in when they need help, because it's not always your math teacher, your science teacher. Maybe it's your coach or the teacher next door to you in math that you don't always talk to, but have that little bit of a relationship with. And they would also be able to like check in with any of those staff members each morning. And kind of like, hey, I'm here, I'm ready to start the day, or hey, I had a bad night, I'm going through some things, like let's work on it before going to class, and just kind of like blowing up. So that's kind of our process on how we kind of came up with it. So it's like a 2-tier intervention strategy program. It's for kids who haven't made adequate progress, like tier 1. So like we've tried a little bit of things, now we need to like dive farther into that individual student and make it a bigger, I don't want to say a bigger problem, but more like a bigger initiative than what we do daily as teachers.
Working to support the teacher or the student on another level.
Right, because we need to hone in on, because we got the students as a whole, now we need to hone in on, you know, those particular students to try to improve their behavior so they can succeed academically. Like I said, this is most of our students who are seeking out or like they enjoy the attention from certain staff members, right? So obviously we would pair them up correctly. So that's why we brought you guys together to see, you know, you guys are all experienced teachers, have lots of different diverse teaching experiences here. So we kind of came up with this group, this committee to go forward and kind of oversee the check-in, check-out program.
Okay.
So do you guys have any questions so far?
My question was from your beginning part, you talked that the teacher would check in throughout the day with the score sheet. Do their teachers that they go to the classrooms, do they also get a time to check in on the score sheet? So like their typical schedule teachers have input as well? Yeah,
that's a good question. So those teachers would have input. Of course, we would get those teachers together, kind of like a staffing to say, hey, this student is a part of this program or initiative. This is what we're looking at. Every student's score sheet is going to look a little bit differently, right? We can either color code it for certain students and things like that.
Okay. So they would have a mentor teacher, but also the teachers that they see regularly would have that buy-in.
Correct. Like it might not even be their regular math teacher, right? It could be a math teacher down the hall from them. That would be their mentor teacher, the person they would check in with daily to say, hey, I'm here. We're ready to start the day. Or kind of like I said before, I'm really struggling today.
That's a good idea.
So, you know, of course, parental involvement is a big thing. We need to have these parents on board and let them know that, hey, your student we're thinking about this program, we think he's a good candidate. If they agree, that's great. If they don't, then we kind of have to work backwards and say, okay, what else can we do for the student? They would also have access to get their daily goal sheets and, hey, how is, you know, my little one doing, or what can we work on at home with them, right? So a big thing is it's very student centered, because we can give a reward of, oh, you can go play basketball. Well, if the kid doesn't like basketball, they're not going to work for that reward. So if the goal is not being met or progress toward, they're not making progress towards that goal, the facilitator and the coordinator, myself and us as a committee, can kind of meet and say, okay, what else can we do for that student? We can kind of reteach the student those expectations and provide more support as a committee. So currently, you know, you guys are all teaching, you two are teaching, you're in the admin role. Do you guys have students or various students or a couple that you think of right off the bat that would benefit from something like this?
Yes, and I think it's a great program for the kids that are coming back from OAC as well,
Mhm.
because obviously they did a behavior that is going there or sent them there. So this is a great way also to help them adjust back in to
Like a reintegration program.
Yes, exactly. So not only just those kids, but that's a great program for them too, the OAC kids.
Okay, so we're here to go over our check and check out program that we spoke about a while back, to see how we've implemented that and to see how everything's going. Just some backstories that we talked about how student behavior and academics were being hindered due to those behaviors. The behaviors on the rise, and we want to catch that early so we can help them be more successful in the classroom academically.
Yes.
We have many staff members here on campus who are knowledgeable in behaviors, dealing with behaviors, de-escalation, things like that. So we just want to kind of go over a few points. So the first one is, how the program was implemented and what changes can we talk about to see for next year, or for the next time.
Yeah, I feel like the implementation process went really well. I think we thought through it to the fact that we needed to not just start with the whole campus, but we needed to kind of pilot just a few students
Have that
first.
focus group.
Yeah, because since it was new to our campus, yes, we had people that had implemented it on other campuses, but I feel like since it was new to our campus, we needed to kind of know what fit for our campus. And so the implementation was, I felt like a good start.
Yeah, and that gave us a good framework to go for next year, whether we take those kids with us next year to start the year, or we kind of start fading them out. And we can go over that here in a little while. Just so they understand, like, hey, we've given you the tools to be successful. You've been successful. Now we're going to fade back. So, just some things to think about. We did create the interest survey for teachers to volunteer so they can be a mentor, not just saying, hey, we're choosing you because we think. What if, we wanted to be like at will. Like, they wanted to do this. And I also made the point, like, it's more like kind of like leadership. They're a part of this committee, this check and check out program, to help them grow it themselves as well.
And I feel like there's truly more buy-in with that, because if you think of a teacher that is told to do something versus welcomed or invited to do something, and they have a relationship with a student that was listed there, I feel like that buy-in and that connection they have naturally. And so this program, although yes, we had tracking and monitoring and data that had to go with it, which is a commitment, like the mentorship program or the mentorship side of it was already happening. We just needed to give them more guidance to support the student and put more things in place. So we're not only helping them with the mentorship, but helping improve their behavior and setting goals for them.
Right, and going back to, being a mentor, things like that. I know we even talked about, it doesn't even have to be a teacher of record. It could be a teacher that they've had in 6th grade and now they're 7th or 8th grade, things like that. I think that worked out well because we still have those teachers that are their coaches, for instance. Those coaches still have that connection with them.
I think there were some bumps in the road of trying to figure out how an 8th grade student gets back to the 6th grade classroom, but I think we knew that the pros outweighed the cons in that situation, that the mentorship was truly the key piece. And that's what was going to help our students. And so we needed to kind of figure out some logistics, but it wasn't a big hoop to figure out.
Right, and I think we have seen some improvement in behavior. It's just being consistent, right? Telling those teachers, hey, make sure we're still looking at their data sheets. Make sure we're still catching up with them, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, however we've partnered up with them.
And truly, you kind of mentioned this at the beginning of this meeting, but it's to help prevent some of the behaviors that we see coming. And so I think those students truly saw that there are people here on our campus that want to support them, and some of the behavior choices that they were starting to make needed to go back. And so before they became a tier 3 student with behavior, we could keep them in that tier 2 zone and hopefully push them back into tier 1 and just being our typical peers on our campus.
Right, giving them those tools to be successful, go back down to the tiers and be reintegrated alone in the classroom. I know a big thing that we also talked about was, we mentioned as well, is the alternative campus. We have a lot of students going there for different behavioral reasons, trying to reintegrate them back to a normal school environment. That's tough because
it is tough.
The alternative school is just so strict and structured. I know some of it's online as well, so getting them back into their routine with their relationships with the teachers, I think we have seen a little bit of an uptick on that, like in a positive way.
Yeah, I wrote a note about that. I feel like we're still, that was maybe one of the things that we're still trying to figure out, simply because a lot of those students that have to go to an alternative campus already are in tier 3 behaviors that maybe we should, I think that area kind of needs to be worked out a little bit more, that we know our students need mentorship and guidance when they come back, but are they truly ready for data tracking and accountability? I could see both, because we haven't necessarily seen some of those behaviors go away yet. But I think that mentorship is still a key piece for them. So kind of maybe going back to that and seeing, is this truly what we want for them, or if we need to focus more on mentorship.
Right. Right, and that's just, I mean, that can go back to the interest survey. Like, what do they expect out of us? So they know what to expect out of us as well.
Yeah.
So as you know, we've been talking to teachers and things like that. So are there any other like staff concerns that you know of, or that you've heard of, that we can kind of adjust to meet for next year?
I think we've heard some staff concerns. I think some of it always is going to be like the time that it takes, but also I don't think we've heard a lot of issues, because these teachers are bought into the mentorship.
Right.
Something that I was going to say as we've met with them occasionally, but I was thinking that as we implement this program more, maybe we can have a regular, like, weekly update email go out, just to kind of keep them in the loop. It doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be giving them tasks, but just to kind of keep them in the loop if they need to reference or have more documents to print out for their folder. Even if we're trying to stay on top of it, maybe they need those links, and so that can be an update.
Okay, yeah.
And then maybe try to just meet face to face with them one time a month.
Yeah, that's what I wrote, is once a month, like a formal
I like that.
ish meeting, but between each meeting we're giving you more resources, like, you know, whether it's strategies to try, or more documentation or data sheets to change, and things like that.
And even, I know we can talk about incentives in a little bit, but even that one time a month can, because we don't want this to be a financial burden for our mentors, that they have to purchase things to give them to our students. But if we maybe partner with businesses and they give us things that we know our students would love, we can use those monthly meetings as a divide and conquer, or divide out those resources that we've been given. I know that there's businesses around here that give us free kids meals and little swag things,
gift
and
cards,
that,
or whatever we can do.
those can go to our mentors to kind of alleviate some of the stress, because I think at first some of them thought that it was going to be a financial commitment too. And I think I was writing down the other day, like, different things that don't cost our mentors money, but our students still want, and will work hard for. So I think that is something that in that monthly meeting we can try to prioritize.
Right, and I know a big thing is thinking forward is, you know, these kids are doing great, now how do we fade them out? How do we quote unquote graduate them? And that's just a gradual pullback, you know, letting the student know, hey, you're doing so well.
Yeah.
And also letting the parent know too, because the parent needs to know as well. Like, you're doing so well with this stuff right here, we're gonna start scaling back on these rewards. Yes, you're gonna still be able to get something, but in slower, I guess, increments.
I was thinking, like, something that we could do to try to celebrate, even if we do with our grading periods every 6 weeks, is once this program becomes full blown, I know we're still not going to have a lot of kids on it, because we still want to make sure that it's individualized, but even every 6 weeks trying to do a lunch or something that celebrates those that have been doing super well, or that have graduated. Because it would be fun, let's say we have a student that graduates the first 6 weeks, it would be fun for him or her to be able to participate in those luncheons throughout the entire rest of the year. And we have, like I said earlier, like, we have businesses that if we have 20 kids that we need to bring donuts for, would support that. Or even if we would choose to do a chicken nugget tray, like, there are things that we as a campus can support, and businesses want to pair with us, but it keeps, even if they graduate from the program, they still get recognized and at a level that they're wanting to buy in.
Right. I mean, and I know, like, let's say if their friend is on that same area we're going towards, like the tier 2, maybe they can be like, hey, this is gonna work, just buy in, right? We're getting teachers to buy in, we have the kids to buy in, because it's just as important.
It's not always easy. I think that sometimes part of what we've seen with our mentors is that it's not always the incentives and fun sunshine and daisies. It's truly some hard days. We have these students that are truly tier 2, tier 3 behaviors, and they're struggling to learn the correct appropriate approach.
Right.
And so some of those times are hard conversations and them not earning incentives, them not meeting their goals, but that's why we have that mentorship too, so they can have those tough conversations and see how they can grow, and give them advice, because it's not always easy.
Yeah, so I mean, this is a good debrief. We can go back with our mentors and debrief with them and kind of say, hey,
Yeah,
these
I
are the grows and glows. I know we love that term around here.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something we can work forward and then keep improving for the next phase.
Yeah, I think
All
it's
right.
awesome.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you.
So thank you so much.
Yes.